Hello everybody, welcome to CECS 105. Today you guys are gonna have us present to you guys about ourselves and our careers. This is Bernardina Ortiz. I go by Lina, so you'll see that on the slides that follow. And with me is Alex Ortiz.
Hi.
So let's go ahead and get started to tell you a little bit about ourselves. So I was born in Mexico and then moved to the US when I was 3 years old. I grew up in South Central LA, out by Central and Manchester, for those of you who are familiar with LA. Started my career here at Costa Long Beach as a mathematician. So I wanted to do mathematics because that's what I liked. So that's what I applied for. So I came in as a mathematics undergraduate. I am currently working at Northrop Grumman as an embedded software engineer. But I've done other things in the industry. I started my career with BHDL design at L3 Power Paragon. Then after that, I did some web development as a self-employed person, which was a pretty good job. Just found out it wasn't the thing for me. Then I did software development for the front end of the F-18s for Boeing. And yeah, that's about me. Let's go ahead and hear about Alex.
Okay, so I'm an Orange County native, currently living in San Diego, and spent 31 months in St. Louis, Missouri.
Yep, 31.
I'm a technical program manager at Brain Corporation. I just started this job about a month ago, and so far super awesome. Got to work from home due to the COVID-19 pandemic. It's kind of interesting that the team has always been used to all being in the office, and my first day a few people came in, they gave me a laptop, and then they told me to go home. I have a bachelor's in computer science and computer engineering from Costa Long Beach. I have a master's in systems architecting and engineering from USC. I also have a certification in cybersecurity from WashU, and through there I got also certified in Security Plus, and I'm a certified ethical hacker.
So this is what I found to be the best advice for you guys. This is what I've learned when I was at Costa Long Beach. For clubs, they definitely help you boost your confidence. I wasn't very confident myself. I was not a very good talker. I never liked putting myself out there, but joining clubs made me have to put myself out there, and I was part of some of the chairs. So I was a treasurer for one, and can't remember what was for the other. But I had to put myself out there and talk to people. Yes, and I was in ACMW too. So they also help you by introducing you to a career project. So there's a lot of things you can do. A lot of clubs on campus have projects that they have with industry or with other clubs, and they'll help you build your skills, which is good for you so you can put them on your resume, because nowadays going to school is not just the thing that they look for in resumes. They want to make sure you're doing other things other than just getting A's or doing academic stuff. And then it also helps you build a community of people that are like you, who share the same interests, which helps you in the future. So for courses, definitely don't go the easy route. Try to get the best teachers, even if they're hard teachers. Try to get the best teachers to teach you the material, because believe me, that's where you're going to learn the stuff. If you go the easy route, you're going to regret it later and find out that it wasn't enough for you once you are actually in the industry. And then relationships, get to know people. When I say get to know people, take the time to know them. Know your peers around you, because some of them are already in the industry. They already have been working. Get to know them. Ask them questions. See how it is out there for them. Also, some of the professors have been in the industry or are in the industry before they became professors. So ask them about it and their experiences, and they can be your key to one of your jobs eventually. They know people that have jobs, and they might be able to help you. So get to know these people, create a personal relationship with them, and just keep in touch.
All right, so from my perspective, just want to really take these 3 points to heart here. The clubs, join them. The experience in the clubs that I got to participate in, whether it was ACM as their president, EAT as their president, and then there was a web development club that I was an advisor to. The experience that I had there, the relationships that I built there, the camaraderie that was created with my peers, it really augmented my experience at Cal State Long Beach. I was introduced and exposed to a lot more opportunities that I don't think I would have otherwise. Good example that comes to mind when I tried to get my first internship at Boeing back in 2010. The hiring manager asked me to go and talk to the current intern that was assigned to him. And he mentioned that he was also a Cal State Long Beach student. So I used my network within the clubs to basically go out and find this student that I had never met before. And within a couple of hours, the student walked into the EAT office asking, like, was I looking for him? And I said, yeah. And so I was able to, like, ask him questions about the internship position, and he was able to give me a lot of information. So when it came time to go into my interview, I already had all the answers for the hiring manager, because I had already done my homework, and I had already basically preemptively gone and done all the extra resources, finding things that none of the other candidates had access to. So that really helped me stand out, and I was fortunate to be able to beat other candidates from Stanford and from UCLA. So yeah, definitely the time spent in my clubs was one of the highlights of my career. It was one of the best experiences. Late nights, going on Costco runs to stock up the little stores that we had.
Taco Tuesday. Ordering
over 100 tacos at Del Taco for our Tuesday meetings at the Eat Club, and having the people at Del Taco go, "You sure you want 99 tacos?" And burritos. So, yeah. I was also the Microsoft student partner during half of my career at Cal State Long Beach. So that also introduced or allowed for other exposure that I don't think I would have gotten. We had this huge Microsoft event that we hosted back when Windows 7 came out. And I think we did an office event, right, where we were able to raise like over $3,000, which was unheard of for a student organization.
Yeah, we had a lot of people.
We built an arcade from scratch where we went and sourced all the materials, and just it became a huge team project. A lot of the senior design class work would be done in the club offices, and there was just a endless amount of just collaboration and people just working together and helping each other out. So if you're not in a club, highly recommend you join one. I think it's one of the best experiences that really just takes just going to school, reading books to the next level, right? This is really where you start developing those interpersonal skills that are really required out in the industry. And talking about courses, be very prescriptive. There's a ton of courses you can take. Not a lot of guidance as to which course is best for you, which route do you want to take. Computer science and engineering is such a broad field, right? You can be in this because you want to design video games, or you want to do virtual reality or augmented reality, or servers and cybersecurity are your thing, or you just want to be a back-end developer or a front-end developer, or you don't know what you want to do. There's just so many different options with this field. You can go a variety of different ways, and the classes just give you a taste of what you can do with your career once you leave Cal State Long Beach. So I'd say be very prescriptive, right? Be picky. Pick the stuff that interests you. Pick things that are maybe scary or things that aren't interesting to you. to find out if they really aren't interesting. This is the time for you to make those mistakes, to be curious, to go and venture off into areas that aren't unknown to you. So don't just take classes because it's on a roadmap somewhere, or a counselor told you that this is the best thing that is available. Go and find out for yourself what you want to do, and make sure, because I've had instances where people are asking me, and they're like, I hate my job because I never took classes in these things. And it's like, you're not going to be able to always get the experience through courses because maybe you stuck to a certain path and you're just not exposed to other things. Or you might shy away from taking a class and it turns out to be like one of the best things that you can do. And again, without like, just try different things, and be mindful of what you're taking, and take classes that are going to help round you out later in life. And then the last thing I want to talk about here is relationships and networking. Create them. This is probably the only non-academic thing here that you can do, but it is probably the most valuable thing you can invest in while you're in college. Find relationships with your peers, with your professors, with people from industry. Go to those networking events, those hiring fairs, any on-site or I guess virtual now event that they may have that exposes you to people out in the industry, exposes you to areas of computer science and engineering that you might not be familiar with. Go and create those relationships and networks. Go and talk to people. Pick their brain. Ask them what they like about their job. What do they hate about their job? Ask them for advice. Ask them what did they regret? What are their biggest mistakes? Find out from those people, because you probably have the questions and they probably have the same questions you have now when they were in your position. And I personally love to give out free advice to people that ask for it. So I'm sure they're more than willing to share their advice with you. And it kind of helps shortcut some of the guessing work, right? It takes a lot of like, oh, I'm not sure about this, or I'm kind of scared or hesitant about doing action X or Y or Z because it's just unknown to you. But the bigger your relationships and your network are with different, like, diverse people, the more you can just approach them and ask them those questions, and they can give you their insights, and then you can make your own conclusions. But the relationships that you create are going to be some of the more longer lasting ones. My wife and I are still very personally connected with many of the professors on campus, and we still interact with them on a at least quarter to quarter basis. And even at the peer level, the students that I went to school with, that we went to school with, we still talk to a few of them. We try to get together every once in a while. And it's great down the road because you'll never know when you're going to need a job and somebody else is hiring. So,
yeah, I guess we didn't mention it, but Alex and I are actually married. We met at Castellon Beach back in 2008. Yeah. So, yeah, we ended up getting married. Now we have 2 munchkins.
There was 5 females in the engineering department, and I stole one of them.
Yeah, not many of us. So, yeah, getting back to this stuff. So what to look for a job? Like, for me, these are the things that are important to me. It could be different for you guys, but it's kind of give you guys an idea. So I've learned that I want to be able to have a job where it's I can have the flexibility to work remotely. My current job does not allow it, unfortunately. I have a job that is in a closed environment, which basically means I go into this double-door lab where I'm not even allowed to take my cell phone, and I don't know what's going outside of there at all. I go in there and I do my work and come out to take breaks to check my phone, make sure everything's going well. And yeah, and once I go inside, I get to work, and then I don't know what's going on around me. And the reason I've put this one as my first one is because with the current situation we're in, I have to go to work. My husband stays here, Alex stays at home, and I have to go to work because I am what they call essential to the industry, because I work in defense and they want to be able to meet their contracts, which kind of sucks because yeah, it's a little scary. A lot of things are going on that you're questioning about, and you're like, But being able to work remotely, even if you don't want to do it 100%, is a thing you want to be looking for, so that in case you don't feel well that day, or if
life happens sometimes.
life happens, you can actually stay home and work from home. And for those who have kids, I mean, I'm assuming most of you guys are young, but some of you guys might already be in the industry, already have families. Be able to be at home, like right now, be able to be home and be with your kids and take care of everything that's going on, like school and everything, especially with nobody being able to go to school. So being able to have the ability to work from home is a big thing for me now. Also look for the benefits. What are the benefits that they're giving you? Dental, medical, again, unlimited PTO or sick time, things like that. What does the company offer for you? Not only is it what can you offer for them, you should look at what you can offer, they can offer for you, because this is a two-way relationship. You can't just they cannot just be expecting you to do for them. You have to do also for they also have to do what is good for you. And if it doesn't fit your qualifications, then you need to look for something else. And then also try different roles. Do many different things to see what you like. Like Alex said, try different classes, and not a lot of those classes will introduce you to what is out there in the industry. But once you do get out in the industry, try different jobs. See what you like. Like, for example, I'm a computer engineer. I've done BHDL, so I like that one. And then I did web, which I did not like. I really did not like the web stuff. And then the front-end software for the F-18 was really fun. I liked that job. And now with embedded, it's a little harder, the embedded side. There's embedded software engineering. For the, I do the F-22. But it is something I like. But there's also other roles that aren't quite just technical, or per se you have to code. Let's say you want to try the systems engineering side or the management side. As long as you have the background and you're able to do that stuff, I feel like you should try everything and see where you actually want to be. Personally, me, I'm very technical. I want to be in the code monkey phase all the time, so I try to keep myself in those kind of roles where I'm always coding or working with hardware. And that's what I like. And then I've been asked many times, like, how is it to be a mom in a female in a male dominated field? So basically, to be a mom in a engineering field, it's pretty amazing. I have 2 boys, and I get to do a lot of things with them that are engineering based. My older one is a lot into robotics. He loves robotics. Right now he's a gaming little boy, so he wants to learn how to make his own game. He's actually working on a script for a game he wants to develop. Obviously we're gonna help him out because he's not 100% a little developer, but he'll help him out. And I feel very proud when I see that they want to learn what mom and dad do. So it's interesting. I mean, I hope they do go into some sort of engineering field, and that they want to learn about it when they get older and have a good career. But it's just I want to be able to introduce them to it all, not only engineering but other things around them. Because when I was a kid, I didn't know about anything. I was in a low income home with my parents didn't know anything about anything. My mom and my dad both didn't finish elementary. And growing up, it was just whatever I could get out of school. So, and then my parents couldn't even help me with school homework at all. So, unfortunately, I didn't have the chance to know what I wanted to do until I actually got to college. where is it that I got lucky that somebody introduced me into engineering, and I took a course which was CECS 174 with Miss Mac, and that's where I was like, wow, what is this? I want to be in here. I want to be able to do what they do here. So that's when I changed my major from mathematics to computer engineer. And the reason I chose computer engineer was because I was explained that computer engineering was more involved into the hardware, and I knew as a kid I always liked working on hardware. So I did a lot of different things at home that I got in trouble for, like opening a VCR. For those of you who don't know, those were the old ways we played movies. I opened a VCR up, I opened a radio up, I opened my parents' TV up, which was dangerous. I got into a lot of trouble because I did that one, but I was able to put them back together. It was just who I was as a kid, and that has not changed. I still do things like that as a grown-up, but I do them in a more safe way because I know that if I don't do something right, I'm gonna blow up myself. But that's who I am, and that's how I wanted to. And I was so lucky to be able to be put into this field by, I guess, just somebody introduced me, and I was so thankful that I was able to fall into that field. And as a female, I've never encountered any problems. I work very well with the guys. I guess that's what they always tell me, that the people around me, the male co-workers, they're like, you're one of the few women out there that just feels like you're one of us. So I never had a problem. I've always had a great time being who I am. And yeah, sometimes it's a little weird because I guess they don't take it as a female giving them directions, but they take it as a young, because I say young because most of my coworkers are 50 and over. Young person telling them what they're doing wrong, and for them who they've been doing this for years, it's kind of hard to accept that, hey, your solution is not the right one, but here, try this one. Yeah, that's, so not as a female, but basically as a young person working with older people, it's been interesting because they feel like they're supposed to be the mentors, and I've been working with them for almost 3 years, but I think like I've become capable of showing them that I can do this on my own, and I can actually provide them feedback, and they've taken to it and been able to accept it. But it's quite interesting, right?
Okay, so my perspective on getting jobs and stuff, my number one recommendation is apply to many jobs and interview a ton. There's so many different ways to interview, so many different styles. Some companies, like defense companies, won't grill you on algorithms, but they're gonna grill you on your like behavioral type. So like, tell me a time where you had a challenging situation. Tell me a time where you did something really well. Those kind of things. While tech companies, if that's what you're into, which many of you probably are, they're going to be grilling you a little bit on behavioral, but the majority of your questions are going to be all algorithms and all programming, whiteboards, just writing a ton of code. And just the more exposure you get, the more comfortable you're going to get with that style of interview. And it's just something that you just don't take a class on, right? So it's going to come with experience. So just interview with as many companies as you can, and apply to as many jobs as you can, even if you feel like you don't meet all the qualifications. Just definitely put yourself out there and just try a lot of different things, and just to get that practice. Also learn what you like and you don't like. Be picky. Don't just settle because you got a job and you're desperate for a job. Be, again, very prescriptive of like the job you're going to get. Most people typically stay on a job for about a year to 2 years. Some companies lock you in, whether they relocated you, and so they pay for your relocation, which means that you have to stay committed with them for 12 to 24 months. Otherwise, you pay some of that money back. Other companies hold you in with investing, whether it be stocks or 401ks. Northrop was like a 3-year, 36-month commitment that you had to do so that you can get their investing. I know tech companies in the Bay Area, they'll usually give you about a year's worth of stock, and then you don't invest until a year later, and then they keep giving you retainer stock, which then vests in another year, so you basically keep staying on year after year after year. So they will do everything they can to keep you, and if you get a job and you accept it and it's not what you want to do, it's not what your cup of tea is, not what your passion is, definitely change it. Otherwise you're going to be miserable for a very long time. Try rotation programs. Some companies understand that like the new generation aren't like my wife's workers, right? They've been doing this thing since 1998, right? Something like that. And this is the only job they've ever done in their career. So if you take them out of there, they're like completely displaced. So companies are starting to understand that the new generation of employees coming out of like the school academia aren't necessarily wanting to have a 30-year career in the same job. So their rotation programs are starting to become more popular. So try those. They typically last 2 to 3 years, and they give you anywhere between 3 to 6 different positions with 3 to 6 different teams and three to 6 different like areas of the company. So you can get a lot of exposure, and then you kind of settle down on one that you like. Find positions to lead. I initially had find leadership positions, but usually coming out of college, that's a little bit more challenging. But that's not to say that you can't lead in your position. That's not to say you can't be the best at your job given the circumstances you're in. So in any job that you get that you're given an opportunity to go and contribute to a company, give it 100% all the time, and find ways for you to step up as a leader and help contribute and help make a difference. I'll talk a little bit about career superpowers in another slide, but find opportunities for you to always go above and beyond. It's going to help excel your career, and I'll talk a little bit about that in my lessons learned. But yeah, don't be intimidated, or don't think that you can't offer new and innovative ways of doing things just because you're fresh out of college. There's always going to be opportunity for you to bring a fresh new perspective that can help make a significant change to a company. Also experienced relocating. I was born and raised in Orange County, lived there for 25 years. Moving to Missouri was one of the scariest things I had ever done in my life, but it's what allowed me to grow exponentially. It gave me a huge boost in confidence, a huge boost in just exposure. I felt like the floor beneath me was removed and I was falling, and I had to figure life out very, very quickly because I had a family, my wife, and one child at the time. And it's one of those things where you're in your comfort zone. You don't really know what you don't have until you don't have it, and not having that comfort of being able to be at home or having that family support was huge. So just experience relocating. It's a very, very quick way to grow. And also from a career perspective, California is a tough market. There's a lot of people in California. You probably know this number since it's advertised so much, right? 40 million people in the state of California, with San Diego, LA, and San Francisco being the biggest like hubs for people. Well, that's also where the jobs are at. And there's a lot of competition. And coming out of this COVID-19, I know you guys are still maybe some of you 3-4 years away from graduating, and hopefully things are different, but right now relocating to another state or going somewhere else, it's probably some of the best advice I can give you, because competition is very low in other states. So when we lived in St. Louis, an entry-level software engineer, like a level 1 software engineer, the minimum requirements was, have you taken a programming class? Versus if you go to a Bay Area company, they're going to be like, do you even, like, if you don't even have a master's, like, don't even bother type of thing, right? So it's different from state to state, and it's different, like, where different companies are at. And so talent isn't always as easily as available as they are here in California. So taking advantage of opportunities to go elsewhere can help jumpstart your career. And it's not forever, right? We did St. Louis for exactly 31 months, and we went over there not knowing how long we were going to be there. I thought it was going to last 2 weeks, and we ended up staying 3 years. And being out there exposed both my wife and I to getting secret clearances, which when Northrop won a multi-billion-dollar contract to build the next generation bomber, they went on a hiring spree and basically took anybody who was willing to relocate on Northrop Grumman's money, that had a clearance, like an opportunity to get a job. So we were fortunate. We both came to California. Northrop paid over about $100,000 in relocation expenses for us to move out to California. They gave us $150 a day to eat, just every day, which is just a big check that we'd get, just an extra. They gave us $5,000 just to cover any unforeseen expenses like DMV registrations and things like that. They paid for our hotel for 60 days. They paid for the relocation of all of our stuff, so somebody came and packed everything, which was really beneficial for us because at the time my wife was 6 months pregnant, 7 months pregnant, and for her to not have to do any of that work and just have people do it was a big, huge blessing. So yeah, relocation, try it out. Go check out Seattle. Go check out the East Coast. Go check out other areas in tech that are hiring. Austin, Colorado. Those areas are like booming for talent, or they need talent, and there's usually not a lot of talent. And so your dollar will definitely also stretch a lot farther. So your expenses aren't as high. And I kind of touched this already, but find your passion, right? You're not going to be happy. I've been in the industry for 10 years, and my wife's been maybe 8 years. And unless you do something that you're excited about waking up every morning, I know it sounds very cliche and everybody always says this, but I don't think that there's anything farther from the truth. Is if you're not passionate about your job, you're going to regret waking up every single morning and going to do the same thing every single day. So that's why I say be picky, be prescriptive, challenge yourself until you find something that you truly like, and you're not going to know it. I definitely didn't know it by taking the classes I took. So there's nothing in college that's going to prepare you for what you want to, like what your passion is. So you need to go do the work and find it yourself. And don't be afraid to fail, right? So in this exploration of finding your passion, you're going to find things that you don't like. You're going to find a lot of things that just suck. And you're going to feel like a failure sometimes, or you're going to just feel like you're letting people down. And I encourage you to just pick yourself up, dust your shoulders off, and kind of just keep trying until you do find that thing. And the last thing that I want to talk about here, social media, branding, and GitHub. As a software engineer or as a computer engineer, computer scientist, if you don't have a social media presence, if you don't have a brand or a GitHub account right now, it is, I don't want to say exponentially harder, but you'll find more resistance than people with these three things. Companies are using LinkedIn now more than ever, right? People are on YouTube making tutorials like we are, and people are committing to GitHub on a day-to-day basis, and recruiters are using this stuff to their advantage. It makes, when a company is going to hire you, they're just as concerned as you are, right? They want to know, are you a good fit? Because they're investing thousands of dollars just to even get you hired. And sometimes it's like, I've heard numbers of like $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 just to hire somebody, right? And so they are going to take a gamble on you because they don't know if you're going to leave them, right? I'm encouraging you to find your passion, and that requires you to leave sometimes, maybe even sometimes before a year. So having your brand allows you to kind of exposes you and allows the recruiters to go and check you out and see what you're all about. And it opens up a ton of opportunities. So highly encourage you to be online and be coding and sharing it with the world so that people can see your projects, people can see the things that you're passionate about, and it'll definitely help you with your career and finding a job you're happy with. So I think this is only me. So
we can both
So we want to talk a little bit about school versus industry. There's a huge difference between what you do in school and how the industry works. So I'll run through my perspective and I'll let my wife go next. So what's different? So empathy is huge, right? When you're in school, it's very about me, very siloed. But it's a team of you, right? You do your homework, you study for your tests, you worry about you. And when you're in the industry, the you goes away, and it becomes a team, right? And if you aren't there for your peers, not just from like a knowledge technical perspective, but from an emotional side, right? There's gonna be times where your coworkers are sick, right? Right now, if a classmate's sick, it's like, okay, so he didn't show up to school, whatever. But when your team is out, you can talk about your coworker having that motorcycle accident.
Oh, yeah. So, was this 2 years, a year ago, right?
Year and a half ago.
Year and a half ago, one of my coworkers had a motorcycle accident. He got hit, and he was out for, I want to say, 3 months.
3 to 4 months, yeah.
3 or 4 months. And to see the empathy in our team, it was so powerful to me. It's like these people care so much about each other. And if you think about it, we're working with these people for 9-10 hours or more, and we spend more time with them than we do with our own families. So we create these relationships with each other that are long lasting, and it was just very powerful to see how everybody wanted to help him out and his family, to help him in case they needed something or financially. And it was the case for that, and it was the case for my other coworker who had to go to the hospital and was in a very bad condition too. It was such a powerful thing to see, and it was not because they were forced to, but because they voluntarily wanted to help each other, and it's because we created this community at work that people care about one another, and makes it so much easier to go to work.
Yeah. And so you kind of hear teamwork a lot, right? So teamwork is really critical, and they kind of go hand in hand. But you're in a team, you're going to be mostly working in a team. Even if you're just out, you get your coding assignment, you go do your work individually, you're still contributing to the same developed branch. You're still, the impacts that you're going to have on a team overall based on your individual contributions are still going to be noticeable. So learning how to work in teams, and that goes back to the clubs, right? Being in the clubs, working on the senior design projects, work together, learn those skills now where you don't get fired if you don't have those skills. I highly recommend you do that. And it goes, I want to talk about networking again. It's kind of like a broken record type of thing, but the relationships you build with your peers, not only in school but in the industry, are going to be much more important, right? So when I was getting my job at Brain Corp, one of the things that they asked me were for 6 references, and 2 of them have to be managers. So unless you want to tell your existing manager that you're going to leave and that you need him to vouch for you for a new job, you need to have your network of established other managers and peers that you trust and that can speak highly for you. Because being able to pass an interview is great. 1 + 1 = 2. That's awesome. But if your network is lacking and there aren't people out there that are willing to vouch for you and say, yes, this person is a pleasure or a joy to work with, it's going to be difficult for you to maintain or get a job. So definitely have that empathy, have that teamwork, and build that network so that you can, again, have that accessibility versus having roadblocks in the future. Accountability is also huge, right? So you're working with teams, right? People are depending on you. They're doing their part with the assumption that you're doing your part. And again, right now in school, if you don't do your homework, okay, so you didn't get an A. If you don't put in an effort, maybe you didn't get the A, you got a C or a D, right? It's not a big deal, right? As long as C's get degrees type of thing, right? But in the industry, people literally are putting accountability on you, and they are relying on you to build the greater vision or the greater goal of the company. So if you don't do your part, there's big implications with that, right? So people are going to be depending on you to make sure that when you sign up for something, you come through. Also uncertainty. I think with school, everything's very, like, the professors, they've been doing this for a long time, right? So they know every assignment inside and out. They know everything is well defined. The expectations are well defined. There's a little opportunity for you to be creative with like your assignments and stuff, but for the most part, the professors already know what to expect. The tests are all the same. Everything's kind of not changing, right? Everything's very static. But in the industry, everything changes every single day. Budgets can be cut. The government can just wake up and say, we don't have money. We can have this this pandemic of, okay, everybody go home, and
Except the essentials.
yeah, except the essentials, and then but you have this scenario where thousands of companies are like, we've never let people work from home. What does that even mean? So do I still have my job, right? And there's so much uncertainty. You can come to work on Monday and just not even have a job by lunch. Fundings again are huge, right? So you're gonna be exposed to that. So the sooner you learn to really have the stuff above this, the accountability, the networking, the teamwork, and the empathy, the easier it's going to be for when things are uncertain, because you're going to be able to leverage all of these other items to help create some stability in your life. And then opportunity, there's a lot of opportunities, right? Companies, even today, even during this crisis, people are hiring, and there's always going to be another opportunity for you to go somewhere, do something else. And so yeah, just take advantage of that. And then the last thing I want to talk about here are career superpowers. I'll leave the Twitter for @DocJamesSW. Sorry, @DocJamesW. James Whitaker. He is a distinguished engineer, former distinguished engineer from Microsoft and Google, and he has a 4-hour course on how to excel at your career. Highly recommend you look him up on YouTube and watch that class. It's one of the most impactful 4-hour lessons I've ever taken in my life. So do you have anything else to say?
Agreed. No, go check that out.
Okay, so we're gonna wrap things up with lessons learned.
I think we have. Yeah, I think this is the last few slides. Lessons learned. So I remember when I got my first job, I was freaking out. I had no clue whether I was gonna be able to make it out there or not, whether I was smart enough. And you learn that everything is hard at first, and then as you learn it, it becomes easier and easier. For example, with this current pandemic, a lot of my coworkers, because they're at the high risk, have taken off work, and I had to step in and take care of doing a lot of the testing on the hardware for a lot of the people that are currently in there, and fix a lot of problems that come up with this hardware that I wasn't familiar with. And wow, have I learned in the last 2 weeks. I feel like I can do this. I can definitely figure out how to fix anything and everything in that lab. And it's been challenging and scary at times, but it's helped me so much to grow. And it's gonna be hard, and you just have to accept that, but it's gonna get better as you learn it. And also know that you're not the only one out there feeling like this. Keep trying, keep going, keep learning, and you're eventually gonna be on the other side, and you're gonna be mentoring someone who was like you, someone who felt that they don't know what they're doing. And like I mentioned earlier with my team, it's amazing to work with good people. It helps make your job so much better. If you like what you do and you like the people you work with, going to work is one of the best things. It just makes your day better.
All right. So again, we've been doing this for a while, so here's some of the lessons learned that I can share with you that were valuable to me.
We're going on 10 years of marriage.
Yeah, 10 years of marriage. So starting a family, we got married super early.
Yep.
I hadn't graduated college when we had our first kid, and that was really challenging. I was getting my master's during the entire first 2.5 years of my firstborn, and that was really challenging. Plan out your family situation, what you want to do with your life, with ample time. Don't jump the gun on decisions. These are like literally life and death type of things, right? Like
not life and death.
well, no, but they're very serious, right? And
Yeah.
starting a family is something that society's got a huge influence over, right? Like your family's gonna be like, when are you gonna get married? When are you gonna have kids? Like as engineers, we're usually introverts, right? So that exposure to that family of that party life and the way you meet people or other people meet people is different, right? So like the expectation is a little different, and most family members are concerned that you'll never get out there. So there's gonna be a lot of pressure, especially us being Hispanic too. Once we got married, there was a lot of pressure, like, when are you gonna have kids? And it's like, well, relax, man, we got school and we got other things that we want to do too, but we got a lot of pressure. So just manage that pressure, manage those expectations, and just know that if you do decide to have a family and go to school and do a full-time job, it is very, very hard, very, very stressful, and it's going to push your relationships with your marriage and it's with your family to levels that you didn't even know were possible. So be very, very mindful of when you do all this family stuff. Relocating, I kind of talked about it already, so try it. I think it's one of the biggest blessings that we had in disguise, because we were initially very scared, but we've been able to double our salary because of the relocation efforts that we've done. And we've been able to double our salary in just like a couple years, right? Not decades worth. Some people do like a 3% raise every year, so you can imagine how many years it'll take you to go 3% at a 2.5 to 3% every year until you get to 50% more, right? Versus we got a combine of 42% raise just coming out of St. Louis, and then within the last 18 months we've been able to double that too. So relocation has really definitely accelerated that. And then rejections, right? I applied to so many jobs. I've been rejected from so many things. I felt like a failure in so many things. I've always had this huge imposter syndrome. When I was in college, I was working 3 jobs, wife was pregnant, and then I was doing the full course load and running the clubs, right? All at the same time. And things naturally fell apart on me. And I didn't get the best grades, and I didn't understand all the concepts. And I wouldn't say I got picked on, but I definitely had a challenging time from my peers in school, where they can see that I didn't pick up all the slack academically because I was always so doing everything else, right? And so I've always felt that I've never been able to program, and that has carried on even to this day, where like I shy away from taking on coding assignments. And the reason why I'm a technical program manager right now is because it allows me to still be involved with all the programmers, but from a more holistic perspective. And it's turned out to be a blessing, but all those constant rejections and fear of not knowing how to code or not knowing how to do what my family and what the expectation was of being a software engineer have accumulated to like a lot of just like lonely moments type of thing. So just get used to those rejections and just learn how to learn from every rejection and how you can adjust and pivot to make yourself better. And look for promotions. Like I just mentioned, right, we've been able to double, if not triple, our money type of thing in just a very short few time. Watch the Career Superpowers video from James Whitaker. It'll make a lot of sense. But promotions are going to come if you excel and you just give it 100%. But it's going to be a lot easier for you to get promotions when you do things that you're passionate about. When your work is not work and it's like more like a hobby, these promotions, the quality of your work is going to be exponentially. It's going to be that 10x engineer that you're always hearing about online. And it's just the things are just gonna come a lot more natural if you are doing something you want to do. And follow your dreams, right? So all these are kind of all tied together. Follow your dreams. I for the longest time thought programming was the thing that I wanted to do, but it turns out I'm really, really good at managing a program. It turns out I'm really, really good at doing strategic thinking and getting leadership to do like buy in on an idea, and I'm really good at helping software engineers march towards a common goal, and I'm really good at problem solving, and I'm really good at coordinating people, and that's not something that you'll ever take a class on, right? And it's just something that I've learned over time, and I was fortunate that my manager saw some potential in me, and they threw me in this deep end to do this program management work, and I loved it, and it keeps me up all night because I'm just thinking about how to solve those non-technical problems. But it's what I really like, and it's what I'm really good at, and I can't wait to see where it takes me. And then the last thing we want to close up here are finances, right? Um, the best advice that we ever got here at Cal State Long Beach was from Donna Pompey. She used to teach some of the C++ classes. Was you have two salaries. All your expenses should never add up to more than just one paycheck. So if one of you loses your job, you can still keep going with that one paycheck. So to this day, my wife and I, all of our expenses combined are still less than one of our paychecks. So right now during this pandemic, if she doesn't want to go to work for being exposed to this virus and she gets fired, we can still make it off of my paycheck, and vice versa. If I'm in a startup, right, and my wife essentially can't get fired because of her clearance, I gave up my top secret. If I get fired because the startup basically doesn't exist anymore next week, like, we can still live off of her paycheck. So be careful with your finances. Just software engineers make a lot of money. If you go to the tech companies, right, they're gonna throw ridiculously high numbers. You're gonna be looking at $120,000 to $160,000 base salaries. You're looking at $30,000 to $50,000 sign-on bonuses, and you're looking at $50,000 to $100,000 restricted stock options, right? And so it becomes a lot of money. And tech companies usually give you a 10%, 10 to 15% bonus every year. They give you a 10 to 15% annual raise. So 10% of $150,000, right, every year, it's ridiculous money, right? It's a lot of money, and it's really easy to get carried away and not manage your finances, especially if you're not. We don't take classes here to learn how to manage finances, so it gets really easy to get all that like mismanaged. And so just learn how to manage your finances, and get your 401k set up, and future self will be very grateful, because in 50 years when you're looking to retire and you're looking for money, it's going to be there. So with that, obviously we're not in person, so we do love to interact, and again, we love to mentor, and we love to talk and teach and whatever. And so we encourage you to reach out to us on Twitter. Our DMs are open, and here's our information. We also, I think we mentioned it briefly, we put out like tech tutorials, and we just started off with like STEM stuff for like kids, but eventually we're going to be branching out. I have like 8 years of IT experience, which was the majority of my career has been, and then my wife.
I'm currently learning Python, so I'm going to be doing a lot of that stuff too. And well, he did mention earlier, but he has cybersecurity, so we probably do some cybersecurity stuff on there too.
So just reach out to us. We're online. Any questions, we're more than happy to answer them. Use it as a resource, right? It's when I was in your position, I wish I would have been able to have somebody to ask questions to. I'm the first gen in my family. I think you are as well.
I'm the first gen too.
And so we never had someone that we can ask questions to, right? The classes, when we're signing up for classes and like figuring out schedules, it's like it was trial by fire, right? There was no older sibling, at least in my case, that I can go ask. There was nobody else in my family that had ever done a college schedule type of thing, right? Let alone like engineering wise, right? Like C++, Python, JavaScript, like which language do I pick, right? Those kind of questions, like unless you have that network already, it's challenging, right? And unless you know what you want to do with your life right now, JavaScript's like the number one front end language, right? Are you taking JavaScript? Do you want to be a web developer? Do you want to be doing those things? Or are you going to be like on the DevOps side, right? Are you scripting? Are you in Linux? Are you using Bash? Are you using Python? There's so many questions, and like we've gotten so much exposure to all of this, and we would love to help you out in any way that we can. Our companies are constantly hiring. Northrop probably more than BrainCorp because we're a small startup of 300 people, but we have a lot of friends in the industry, and we have like a lot of just, again, that network that we've created over the last decade. Come take advantage of it, right? We're extending an offering to come and just be on this journey with us, and we'd be more than happy to help you out in any way we can.
Yep. So I think that's it for us. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let us know what you guys have out there. What questions, comments, anything you guys want to learn. We are here to help you guys. We want to be able to give you guys the ability to have the resources you need. And
take advantage of it, because last year when we did this, I think we got maybe
one.
Well, you got one, and
I have one person that currently still keeps in contact with me, and I mean, there's a class of what, 150 each class, and only one person of all the 150 each class is keeping in contact. I don't think a lot of people go out there and say, hey, you can keep me as a contact and keep asking questions. So take advantage of it. Definitely do.
Yep.
All right, guys. Have a good one, and stay safe.
Bye.